You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications.
What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here, right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review AEW Dynamite from May 25th, 2022. Of course, it is the go-home show for this Sunday's Double or Nothing pay-per-view at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, headlined by the AEW World Championship match between Hangman Adam Page and CM Punk. We got a lot of things to talk about right here on the Dynamite review. Of course, it is AEW's 3-year anniversary, and what way to celebrate the 3-year anniversary than to be in the place where it all started, Las Vegas, Nevada. AEW is going to be in Las Vegas all week, of course, culminating at Double or Nothing this Sunday. We got a lot of things to talk about. We had Wardlow versus Shawn Spears inside of a steel cage, and it is now official. Wardlow will now face MJF at Double or Nothing. We had CM Punk and Hangman Page face-to-face. We had 2 Owen Hart semifinal matches. We had Britt Baker versus Toni Storm, and also the main event between Kyle O'Reilly and Samoa Joe, which was a fantastic main event, in my opinion. We had the triple threat match between Ricky Starks, Jungleboy, and Swerve Strickland. We had New Japan invading AEW. Yes, New Japan Pro Wrestling has invaded AEW with the Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb from United Empire, causing a DQ in the match between Roppongi Vice and FTR. So we got a lot of things to talk about right here on the Dynamite review. But before we get on with everything in the Dynamite review, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the Broken Havoc podcast is now available on audio platforms. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. So if you guys want to check out the Broken Havoc podcast in audio format, it's available on those platforms. All right, let's talk about Dynamite. Overall thoughts on the go-home show before Double or Nothing. Overall, I thought this was a pretty good show. I will say, though, and this is not a bad thing, but I kind of felt like the crowd in Las Vegas was kind of a little off, especially near the middle of the show. That is just me. Now, granted, there were chants and, great chants and great reactions. But again, I just felt like, in a way, in some portions of the show, I just felt like the crowd was kind of off, especially with the Hangman and CM Punk segment. Now, granted, I actually, watched the CM Punk and Hangman Page segments for a second time, and I remember the first time I was watching it, I felt it was a little weird just watching the show live on television. But then when I watched it a second time, I actually appreciated it more. I was like, this is actually pretty good. But overall, again, Dynamite was absolutely, in my opinion, a great show, much better than last week. I thought last week the show didn't really flow really well. And, especially near the end, I felt like last week, especially in the show in Houston, you had multiple things happening at once, not happening at once, but like, I felt like they tried to cram in so much stuff in, and, they were really rushing near the end. You had the Serena Deeb segment, you had Jeff Hardy versus Adam Cole, which didn't even last long whatsoever, which was definitely disappointing, but of course the right outcome happened with Adam Cole going over, and he's officially going to be in the finals at Double or Nothing, which I still think it should have been Darby Allin versus Adam Cole, in my opinion. I think, having Jeff Hardy go over, in his match against Darby Allin, I thought that it was the wrong decision to make, but I do understand why they put Jeff Hardy in that predicament, considering the fact that they're building up for the Hardys versus the Young Bucks at Double or Nothing, which is another match I'm definitely excited about. We're going to be getting that match once again, but this time it's going to be in AEW. So again, we're going to be talking about Dynamite. The show kicked off with Wardlow versus Shawn Spears inside of a steel cage match. Yes, we got a steel cage match to open up Wednesday Night Dynamite. Overall thoughts on the steel cage match. The steel cage match was great. Everything that happened on the steel cage match, really, everything needed to happen. Everything that happened was everything that needed to happen, basically. Of course, Wardlow got the win. MJF was also the special referee, so you know that MJF was going to fuck with Wardlow the entire time. But the outcome of the match was the right outcome, and the match itself, I actually pretty much enjoyed it for what it was. It was a great match. Not only that, Wardlow, bro, I can't even recall, man. Wardlow was extremely and I mean extremely over. And he has been over for the past couple of weeks, but this guy has been extremely over in Las Vegas, like crazy. Like everybody was chanting Wardlow even after the match ended. Everybody was chanting Wardlow's name. But of course, Wardlow comes out with the security guards and with handcuffs and no music because of the fact that Wardlow in kayfabe is still under contract with MJF. And the stipulation is if Wardlow wins his match against MJF at Double or Nothing, in which we know now it's official, then Wardlow gets an actual AEW contract and no longer does not need to work for MJF. So what happens is MJF comes out. And I mentioned this. I basically talked about this like when I was watching the show. MJF as the referee looks worse than, like, him in shorts looks way worse than Don Callis. I'm sorry, he looks like a jackass. But I mean, it's MJF. What do you expect? But MJF comes out. Of course, he is a heel, so he does some heelish things. But he checks Wardlow in the match, right? So he checks Wardlow, and he can't find the key to uncuff Wardlow. So he can't find it, but after that, Shawn Spears immediately attacks Wardlow. MJF then finally finds the keys and then actually attacks Wardlow in the match. Of course, Wardlow is being a piece of shit in this match, and he is the special guest referee. Wardlow then proceeds to fight back, and then Wardlow at this point is still handcuffed. MJF then gouges the eyes of Wardlow, but then both Spears and MJF send Wardlow into the cage. Wardlow then goes for a backdrop, but then MJF dares Wardlow to take a shot. And of course, the rule is MJF, or I should say Wardlow, cannot take a shot at MJF during the match, because if he does, he will immediately get disqualified. Then after that, MJF spits into the face of Wardlow. Wardlow at this point breaks the handcuffs, and MJF has this shocked look on his face. And then Wardlow proceeds to take down Spears. Spears then goes up the cage, and then he gets taken down. Wardlow then hits a senton on Shawn Spears after that. He wants to go for the cover, but MJF does not count. After that, Wardlow wants to go for the Powerbomb Symphony, but MJF, out of nowhere, hits a freaking low blow. Spears then picks up Wardlow and proceeds to hit the C4. We get a cover by Shawn Spears, and literally what happens is that MJF actually does a freaking fast count. So you can tell MJF is being a dumbass or a jackass on Wardlow. Of course, he is a heel, but he tried to do a fast count, but Wardlow actually kicked out. Spears then goes outside to the cage. Of course, the ruling is you only win via pinfall or submission. This is not like in WWE where it's either pinfall, submission, or escaping the cage, which again, I talked about this on the Raw review. I never liked the idea of you win the match via escaping the cage, because for me, at least, in my opinion, it kind of defeats the purpose of the steel cage match itself. The steel cage match has to end inside the cage. That's just my view on things, but I digress. Then Spears goes for, he has a chair. So MJF proceeds to hold Wardlow for, Shawn Spears to hit Wardlow with the chair. But what happens is, as soon as Shawn Spears was swinging the chair, Wardlow actually ducks. And then by accident, he hits MJF. And when I mean MJF sold this like $1 million, like this guy sold it like fucking crazy. The MJF literally like stood there like, oh my God, what the hell just happened to me? But MJF falls down, of course, due to the chair shot. And then we get "you fucked up" chants. Wardlow then stands up behind Shawn Spears, and then Wardlow powerbombs Spears. He goes for the Powerbomb Symphony, of course. And then a referee actually comes in, a normal referee. And then Wardlow lays down the chair into the center of the ring. Wardlow then proceeds to hit the powerbomb on Shawn Spears onto the chair. And then we get a cover by Wardlow. 1, 2, 3. Wardlow wins the match, and he finally gets the match with MJF this Sunday at Double or Nothing. Overall thoughts on this match. Everything that happened in this match was everything that needed to happen in this match. This match got the entire job done. This whole thing was, of course, to put Wardlow more over, like to 1 million times, because like Wardlow right now is like one of the most over guys on the AEW roster, period. Like this guy is extremely over with the crowd. Not only that, like everything that Wardlow did was everything that was supposed to happen. And not only that, I'm definitely excited to see where this goes down. And I'm excited to see the match itself between MJF and Wardlow. I definitely do see Wardlow going over. I do not see MJF winning this match. People say, oh, Wardlow is going to, he won this match, but, he's possibly going to lose at Double or Nothing. I do not actually see that being the case. I definitely do see Wardlow really going on his own and really just just going out on his own and just really doing the best that he can. And I do not really see MJF going over in this match, because really, if MJF goes over, like, are we still gonna have Wardlow like literally just like kiss MJF's ass constantly in a negative way? No, we're not. So, Wardlow winning this match is definitely, in my view, at Double or Nothing, the right decision to make. But overall thoughts on the steel cage match? I thought the steel cage match was absolutely great. I really enjoyed every bit of this match. The Jericho Appreciation Society walk backstage and they talk about their match at Double or Nothing. Of course, their match is going to be the Anarchy in the Arena, which I wanted it to be Blood and Guts, let's be real, because I remember the segment that they had last week, and the segment that the JAS and the Blackpool Combat Club and Santana and Ortiz had, and Eddie Kingston as well, was absolutely great. But I was really disappointed in the fact that William Regal did not shout Blood and Guts. I definitely do see them saving that for a future Dynamite episode, possibly in June. We'll have to wait and see. But again, I'm still excited for the Anarchy in the Arena match. I think that match is going to be absolutely insane. And then continuing on with the segments, so the Jericho Appreciation Society, they walk backstage and they see a random staff member, and what happens is Jericho blasts a freaking fireball into the face of that particular staff member. And what happens is, the staff member gets like he's just shouting because he's screaming in pain. And, the Jericho Appreciation Society just continued to walk off. So, yeah, man, after that, we got CM Punk and Hangman Page face to face. Now, this was one of those segments where I had to watch for the second time to really grasp what they were really like going at. Because, of course, throughout the entire build of this match, it was Hangman Page and CM Punk. Hangman Page was taking no shit, even to the fans. Even though Hangman Page is still a babyface, he's not going to be like one of those babyfaces that, constantly put over CM Punk in the build for this match. He's literally going straight at the attack for at CM Punk. And I saw this segment live. I remember watching the segment live last night, and I was kind of... Nothing wrong with the segment, because I thought the segment delivered really well. I just felt like it was kind of off, mainly because of the crowd, because like you can tell, like CM Punk, when he made his entrance, he got a huge pop, and you definitely heard those CM Punk chants. But as soon as he was going to get the mic, when Tony Schiavone put the mic on CM Punk, you definitely did hear a little bit of that mixed reaction from the crowd, which is weird. But then when they went to Hangman, you definitely heard those boos even louder. So like out of both boos, Hangman Page is really getting the louder of the boos in my view. But they did, their reactions weren't really normal, especially CM Punk's, which is definitely weird. That's what I saw, and I even saw it for the second time. But overall thoughts on the segment: I thought the segment was absolutely fantastic. I thought Hangman's promo was really good. That line, that ending line that he's saying that he's not going to protect. He's not going to defend the AEW World Championship from him. He's going to be defending All Elite Wrestling from him. That was a crazy ass line, but a lot of people, and I'll talk about this right after I go through the entire segment, because I literally wrote like almost everything that everybody said in this entire segment. So Tony Schiavone goes to CM Punk first, right? And Punk and Hangman, as I stated earlier, do have a mixed reaction. So we get a bunch of CM Punk chants. And CM Punk basically states that he thinks it's safe to say that this is the biggest moment of his career, or I should say the biggest moment of his career happened in Las Vegas. And of course, he is referring to the pipe bomb that he cut on that episode of Raw back in 2011. Talks about how he is grateful for the position that he is in, and he loves all of the fans all around the world. And he plans on walking in at Double or Nothing as the challenger, and plans very respectfully on walking out as the champion. Then Tony Schiavone goes to Hangman Page and talks about Punk's confidence level and how it's really high. So Hangman grabs the mic and says that he said exactly what he was going to. He said he was going to do exactly what he was going to do to CM Punk, and he asks if he stuttered. There's nothing that he can do to take this title away from him. Punk then replies and asks Hangman why is he taking this whole thing so personally. He is the champion for a reason. He is Hangman Adam Page, and he's one of the toughest sons of bitches on the entire roster. And he holds the gold for a reason, and there are a lot of people like him wanting to get the title shot. And to CM Punk, it's just business for him. And says that it's his title shot, and it isn't personal. Hangman then goes on the mic once again, and this is where he goes absolutely ballistic like crazy. So he talks about how he said 3 weeks ago, he says that he was going to do to him. What he was going to do to him. He says that he was going to destroy, annihilate, and embarrass him. And he didn't mean at Double or Nothing. He meant right now. He has been waiting for this moment for months. He imagined himself sitting cross-legged on the stage just like Punk did all the way back in 2011. He would lit a huge pipe bomb and roll it all over his feet and watch it blow up all over his face. Talks about how cathartic it would be, that why it would have come full circle for Punk in Las Vegas, but now that they are here, we get, after that, you instantly heard the CM Punk chants from the crowd. So you can see that even though Punk somewhat did get somewhat of a mixed reaction, you definitely heard louder CM Punk chants. Talks about how now that they're here in this moment, he realized that he can't do it. Not because he is afraid that he would walk back at the curtain afraid to get fired or be afraid of CM Punk himself, but he more thought, the more he thought of what he wanted to say about him, the more he realized that it would be something that Punk would do. He didn't think fighting his hatred is more often the same, just, thinking that it's the right thing to do. Talks about how he will tell Punk face to face on how he feels about him. Says that he doesn't hate him. He almost pities him. And he doesn't have any respect for him or any respect for Punk ever since he got to this company and all the things that he has done. He talks about how he wants to be a world champion. He doesn't think that he knows what it means to be a champion after all of these years. It's not just about what happens in this ring. It's about what happens when the red light turns off. What happens when he walks down the curtain when he realizes that no one is watching. And, talks about how that's what makes a champion. And he talks about the big game. He talked about all this big game, talking about all the workers, but he has shown the exact opposite ever since he got to AEW. He talks about he will not be defending the AEW World Championship from him at Double or Nothing. He will be defending All Elite Wrestling from him. And then CM Punk gets the mic. So that line right there from Hangman Page was absolutely fucking awesome. I loved that. I loved that line. That line alone really made this whole thing. Then Punk gets the microphone. Talks about how he still doesn't know why he is so angry or taking this whole thing personally. It makes him confused. And talks about how if he's so upset that he is here, he's going to have to do something to him on Sunday at the pay-per-view. And talks about how win, lose, or draw, he respects Hangman and remembers that the roads that he traveled were all paved by him. And talks about how this, he says that this is a house that he built and it was constructed by the lumber with trees that he knocked down. Talks about how the world he traveled to get here to create AEW happened because he gave him the blueprint and that he will shake his hand on Sunday. In fact, he wants it to do it right now. So after CM Punk basically offers Hangman the handshake, Hangman gets pissed off and he goes straight at the face of CM Punk. And what happens? CM Punk pushes Hangman, but Hangman Page delivers a vicious right hand, knocking down CM Punk, and Hangman stands tall in the center of the ring. So things are getting real heated when it comes to CM Punk and Hangman Page. And so what are my thoughts on this segment? Watching it a second time, I really, definitely enjoyed it more than I did the first time. I do not know why. I just felt like it was so weird watching it live on TV. That is just me. I felt like the crowd was a little off, but once I watched it the second time, I was like, okay, now this thing is definitely good. You really needed to watch it a second time to really grasp what Hangman was really saying. That's just me personally. But overall, I thought the segment was really good. And not only that, I think this match that they're going to have at Double or Nothing is going to be really great. A lot of people are calling this match really, really unpredictable. And that may be the case, but again, I do see CM Punk going over in this match and becoming the AEW champion. Mainly because of the fact that I feel like right now it's the time. I mean, CM Punk, people talked about how they should have put the world title on Punk really early on. And I'm like, no, they shouldn't have. Everything that AEW has done with CM Punk is totally fine. Mainly because of the fact that, he had matches with guys like Eddie Kingston, Matt Sydal, Darby Allin, MJF, all those guys before he got into the main title program with Hangman Page. And I think right now it's the right time for AEW to put the belt on CM Punk. Not only that, people are saying that CM Punk should win the title and then turn heel, like immediately turn on the fans after that. I do not see that being the case either. I mean, I would love for a CM Punk heel turn, but I wouldn't have it right now. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like right now AEW is going to have a strong babyface in CM Punk. And I think he's going to he is going to be having the the Summer of Punk in 2023. And the guy to take the title is MJF. I don't care what anybody says. People can talk about, his contract status. Look, MJF, we do not know where MJF is going to go in 2024, but everybody needs to chill out when it comes to the MJF talk, mainly because of the fact that it's 2022. We have literally a whole year. We have the rest of this year and the entirety of next year, with MJF and AEW. So everybody chill the F out. But again, I feel like the reason why I wouldn't turn Punk heel now is considering the fact that it doesn't really make any sense. Not only that, it just, to me, for them putting the title on Punk, to me, is setting the stage for MJF to take the title from CM Punk, because then their storyline comes full circle. And what is the one thing that MJF took away from CM Punk? That is his AEW World Championship. And really, the story writes itself. It makes total sense for them to do that. And, people can call it predictable, but I feel like, predictability can be good and predictability can be bad. I feel like this is the good type of predictability right here, and I definitely do see MJF taking the title from CM Punk, in my view. CM Punk is the guy to beat, not CM Punk. MJF is definitely the guy to beat CM Punk, and I feel like if CM Punk was a heel now and MJF takes the title from a heel CM Punk, again, that story really wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. So I do see, Punk being a babyface for the foreseeable future. A lot of people are even saying that Hangman Page is possibly going to be turning heel in the next couple months. And honestly, that is, to me, that's more likely of Hangman Page turning heel rather than CM Punk now. I feel like if you're going to turn somebody heel, I definitely do see Hangman Page being the guy to turn heel. But we're going to have to wait and see at the pay-per-view this Sunday. I'm definitely excited where they go with this match. But also, people need to realize if Punk does win this Sunday, because again, we do not know who's going to win. My bet is definitely CM Punk. But, again, where does this lead to when it comes to the Forbidden Door show? Because the Forbidden Door show is going to be happening, I believe, at the end of June as well. Who is CM Punk going to face? Because I definitely do see CM Punk coming in as the champion at the Forbidden Door show. What if a guy like Okada comes out and challenges Punk or somebody else? We'll have to wait and see. Honestly, we do not know yet. But again, I'm definitely really excited to see this match at Double or Nothing and to see where this goes after, this match and the show has concluded. So I'm definitely excited. We got a video package with Anna Jay and Jade Cargill. Of course, they're going to be wrestling for the TBS Championship at Double or Nothing. I definitely do see Jade Cargill retaining at the pay-per-view. I feel like, right now, Jade Cargill is nowhere near losing that TBS Championship. But I will say this. If Jade Cargill, because I feel I do see her eventually losing the title, of course. Once she loses that TBS Championship, she is definitely going to be in contention for the AEW Women's Championship. There's no question about it. I definitely do see Jade being in contention for the World Championship. The Jericho Appreciation Society comes out, and of course, the Jericho Appreciation Society comes out to Judas, and honestly, almost every week, they constantly interrupt the fans singing Judas. Jericho immediately cuts the music and says that the fans do not deserve the music, and of course, that leads to Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston come out for their scheduled match against Private Party. The entirety of the Jericho Appreciation Society are on commentary, the same thing as William Regal. As you guys know, I am a huge fan of the Blackpool Combat Club. I think they're one of the best things on AEW television right now. And we got Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. They're finally teaming up once again, taking on Private Party. Overall, this was a really good match. Again, I always dug the chemistry between both Moxley and Kingston. But overall, this was a great match. And of course, the babyfaces got the win. Moxley works on Mark Quinn. We get repeated rights by Hangman. He proceeds to send Mark Quinn into the corner. Quinn then goes for a moonsault, and then we get a cover and another near fall. Kingston then makes the tag. Kingston then goes for a couple of headbutts, and then he proceeds to hit a powerbomb. We get a double underhook suplex as well. Moxley then makes the tag, and then both double team on Mark Quinn. Moxley then picks up Quinn, and then Quinn escapes, but then Cassidy, that being Isaiah Cassidy, goes for the Enziguri. Then we get a double team attempt by Private Party on Moxley. Moxley then fights back. Then Moxley, he proceeds to throw down Isaiah Cassidy. We get a cover and a near fall, and once we're back from break, at this point Moxley is in control. We get a couple of back elbows by Isaiah Cassidy. We get a beautiful spinning enziguri by Cassidy. We get a couple of back elbows by Cassidy as well. And then after that, Quinn makes the tag. He hits a springboard crossbody, and then we get a drop kick by Quinn. Quinn then goes for a somersault over the top rope on Kingston onto the outside. Cassidy then out of nowhere takes out Moxley, and then he proceeds to hit a stunner off the top. Quen then hits a beautiful shooting star press off the top as well. We get a cover and a near fall. And then Cassidy makes the tag. Then Moxley then catches Cassidy, and then he proceeds to hit a clothesline. Kingston then takes out Mark Quinn, and then Moxley goes for repeated elbows on Cassidy, while Kingston at the same time applies I believe it was a sleeper hold on Mark Quinn. And then Moxley hits the paradigm shift, and then we get a cover, and Moxley and Eddie Kingston win the match. Right after that, the Jericho Appreciation Society come down the ramp, and they brawl with Eddie Kingston and John Moxley. But then what happens is the BCC come out for the save as well. Danielson comes in. Jericho goes into the center of the ring, and then both Danielson and Jericho brawl. But then after that, Jericho escapes, and that was that. Again, this is to build up for their Anarchy in the Arena match at Double or Nothing. I'm definitely excited for this match as well. It's going to be a great match. I mean, this is going to be freaking chaos all around the T-Mobile Arena, and holy crap, man, this match is going to be absolutely fire. But again, I wish it was a blood and guts match, but I definitely do see a future blood and guts match happening, possibly maybe in June. That's my guess, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, as much as I would have, really, realistically, if I was booking this, I would have had a blood and guts match at Double or Nothing, mainly because of the fact that it brings more importance to the show. Now, the question is where are you going to put that blood and guts match, considering the fact that, a blood and guts match is a really, high standard match. I'd possibly put it in the middle of the card, mainly because, not as a bad thing, but I'd put it in the middle of the card mainly because of the fact that if you do put the blood and guts match in the main event, it overshadows Punk versus Hangman. That's me, but they didn't do that, so we're not going to be getting a blood and guts match, but I definitely do see a blood and guts match happening on a Dynamite, possibly in June. But the Anarchy in the Arena match that's going to be happening at Double or Nothing is going to be absolutely insane. FTR defends the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships against both Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta, of course, Roppongi Vice. Overall thoughts on the match. This was a great match, in my opinion. I really enjoyed the match for what it was. Roppongi Vice is absolutely fantastic. The same thing as FTR. I mean, one of my questions when it came to the Double or Nothing card, and I know that, you can't put everybody on the card, but the fact that FTR is just so over, I really question the fact that why FTR are not in contention with the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I feel like they should have been added and made the whole thing a fatal four-way. That is just me, mainly because I feel like FTR really do deserve the AEW Tag Team titles and have, they are basically they hold three titles, so it makes perfect sense. Not only that, I feel like right now Jurassic Express is not really. Their title run has been fine, but I feel like right now, their title run is just not. I don't really feel it as much as I used to. Like Jurassic Express, I feel like Jurassic Express need to drop those tag team championships in my eyes. But we did have FTR versus Roppongi Vice. Cash and Rocky Romero start. Both lock up. We got a side headlock by Rocky. We got a shoulder tackle by Romero. We got a second shoulder tackle by Rocky. Rocky then goes for the chop. We got a shoulder tackle by Cash. We got a drop kick missed by Cash Wheeler. We got a roll up by Rocky Romero, and then we get a near fall. Rocky then applies the cross arm breaker, but then Cash escapes. Dax then makes the tag, and then Trent tags in. We get a side headlock by Dax, but then Dax goes for a shoulder tackle. We get a chop by Trent into the corner. Dax then fires back with a couple of chops of his own. Then Trent fights back with a kick to the midsection. And then Trent hammer throws Dax into the corner, landing him onto the turnbuckle chest first, which is a common occurrence. We get a snap suplex by Dax. Cash then makes the tag, and then Dax throws Cash on the top of Trent. Cash is in control, and then Rocky makes the tag. We get a couple of kicks by Rocky Romero. We then get an enziguri by Rocky, and then Trent goes for the half and half. Rocky then goes for a cover and a near fall. Once we're back from break, Romero applies a side chinlock. And then we get a side slam by Cash. Cash then tries to make the tag, but then Trent pulls Cash. Dax finally makes the tag, and then he proceeds to work on Trent Beretta. Trent then sends Cash into the corner, but then Cash lands chest first onto the turnbuckle. We get a couple of German suplexes by Trent, and then Dax sends, hits his own German suplexes of his own. We get a German suplex bridge by Cash, and then we get a cover and a near fall. Rocky then makes the tag. We get a couple of kicks by Rocky Romero, and then he picks up Dax, but Dax escapes. Dax then goes for the atomic drop, but then Trent makes the tag. We get a double knees by Roppongi Vice. Rocky then right hands Cash onto the outside, but then Trent takes Dax to the top rope. Trent then takes him out, and then we get a cover and a near fall. Rocky then goes to the top, but then takes Cash down. Dax then goes for the roll-up, and then he proceeds to pick up Trent for the inside cradle, but we get a near fall. Trent then goes for another roll-up, so we got roll-up city right here going on. But then what happens is, out of nowhere, after Trent tries to take Dax and tries to go for the strong zero, what happens is we get a cover and a near fall. But Jeff Cobb and the Great Okan come in from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they cause a disqualification, which you guys know what I say about disqualification, but I feel like AEW is justified, considering the fact that they barely do any disqualifications. I feel like the last time that they did a disqualification on television was with Mercedes Martinez and I believe it was Thunder Rosa, which I thought was really stupid in my eyes, but I mean, whatever. It was still a DQ finish. But they caused the DQ, and of course, Jeff Cobb and the Great Okan. I'm not really familiar with the Great Okan, but I'm familiar with Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb, of course, made an appearance on Dynamite a couple of years ago with the Inner Circle, going up, I believe it was against Jon Moxley. I believe it was in Atlanta. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Jeff Cobb and the Great Okan are part of New Japan's United Empire faction, and United Empire is consisting of Jeff Cobb, the Great Okan, TJP, a.k.a. TJ Perkins, which I think you guys are all familiar with. I'm definitely familiar with TJ Perkins. And also the leader is Will Ospreay, which I've seen a couple of Will Ospreay matches. Will Ospreay is absolutely fucking fantastic, man. He's probably one of the best in-ring performers in the entire world today. Will Ospreay is absolutely amazing, and everybody was definitely wondering where the hell was Will Ospreay, but we're going to have to see when he shows up. But they cause a DQ. Cobb then hits the Doctor Bomb on Dax Harwood onto the Timekeeper's table. And then the Great Okan takes Trent and hits the Iron Claw on Trent. And then when Trent was going through the table, he literally jumped before, Okan even hit the freaking move. So a lot of people pointed that botch out, which is really weird. But yeah, man, United Empire is standing tall, or one half of United Empire, or half of United Empire, I should say. This is definitely starting to build for Forbidden Door, and Forbidden Door is definitely going to be a New Japan versus AEW show. I definitely do see every match being a AEW versus a New Japan match. We're gonna have to wait and see where this goes, but I mean, the invasion is on, and New Japan is invading AEW, and it poses the question: what is going to happen at Double or Nothing? Because, a lot of people are speculating possibly Okada shows up at Double or Nothing. When that coin drops, I mean, everybody's going to be excited for Okada. Ibushi, a lot of people are saying Ibushi, but number one, Ibushi, I believe, is currently injured. And number two, Ibushi has a lot of beef with New Japan right now. He's basically he's exposing them on Twitter and all that stuff. And it's not looking good when it comes to the relationship between both Kota Ibushi and New Japan. So don't expect Kota Ibushi, Hiroshi Tanahashi as well. I believe they could possibly book a match with Jon Moxley as well. We're gonna have to wait and see. I do not follow New Japan Weekly at all. I just I don't follow them, but I know the main stars. But again, we're gonna have to wait and see. But definitely they're starting to do the build for Forbidden Door, because that is going to be the next pay-per-view, and Forbidden Door is going to be happening a month from now. By the end of June, we're gonna have that pay-per-view at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois, and that's going to be a huge deal. We get the Hardys backstage segments, and they talk about the Young Bucks and talks about how there are really similarities between both teams. Talk about how when they look at the Bucks, they look at Hardy cosplayers, and they came to AEW to cement their legacies. Jeff talks about how they're not in their prime and they're in their over prime, and talks about how AEW is his clean slate. And their final run is going to be their best run. So basically, Jeff Hardy basically stated this is going to be his and their last run as a team. The Bucks then are talk about how the Bucks are stepping stones to becoming AEW World Tag Team Champions. And Matt then says that they will never be they will never be better than them, and they were better than them as babies, teenagers, and on their peak and in their prime, and now they are going to delete them at Double or Nothing, and talks about how there's an old saying, never meet your heroes. They will probably disappoint them, but in this case, they will be disappointing because they will never beat their heroes. I'm absolutely really excited for the Hardys versus, the Young Bucks at Double or Nothing. I mean, we've seen it before in Ring of Honor, but I mean, again, honestly, I do not care, man. If we're getting this in AEW, it must be a big deal, and I definitely, out of that match, I definitely do see the Hardys going over, but I'll talk more about that on my AEW Double or Nothing predictions video, which hopefully I will be uploading that either tomorrow or on Saturday. So we're going to have to wait and see. But Hardys versus Young Bucks is going to be a freaking match that I'm absolutely really excited for. We got one match that a lot of people say was definitely the match of the entire freaking night. We got Ricky Starks versus Swerve Strickland versus Jungle Boy for the AEW. Not for the. This is not a title match at all. This is just a normal triple threat match. But overall, this match absolutely was really, really, really fantastic. Ricky Starks looked amazing. They were doing some crazy ass spots in this match, and let me tell you, some of the spots in this match were absolutely freaking brutal. And one moment throughout the entirety of the match that literally is constantly in my mind is Jungle Boy trying to do the freaking Poison Rana on Swerve off the top, but then Swerve lands on his feet. Like, that spot is literally engraved in my mind. I don't know why. It was just so fucking crazy, but that was one of my favorite spots of the entire match. But overall, this was an absolutely fantastic match. Ricky Starks is going to be a fucking star. Same thing as Jungle Boy and Swerve Strickland, but like, damn, man, this match was absolutely crazy. So right in the beginning of the match, Ricky Starks retreats. Then Swerve also offers a handshake to Jungle Boy. Starks then he comes in, and we get a couple of roll-up attempts by everybody. Starks then works on Swerve, but that Swerve goes for the head scissors. We get a Hurricane Rana by Jungle Boy on Ricky Starks, and then he proceeds to hit a dropkick on Swerve. Then Starks slides on the apron from almost getting hit onto the ring post, but then Swerve gets taken down onto the outside. Starks is in control. Once we're back from commercial break, Swerve and Stark are on the apron. Swerve goes for a pump kick after that. Jungle Boy then hits a Hurricane Rana for the pin on Swerve, but we get a sliding layer onto the back of Swerve. We get a cover and a near fall. Jungle Boy then goes for a fall-away slam on Ricky Starks. We get a cover and a near fall again. Swerve then sends Jungle Boy into the corner, and then he takes Jungle Boy to the top. Jungle Boy then proceeds to fight back, and then, at this point, Starks enters the fray. Both Swerve and Jungle Boy shove Starks onto the outside. Jungle Boy then proceeds to hit the freaking Poison Rana, but as I stated earlier, Swerve lands on his feet. Jungle Boy then misses the Enzuigiri, and then Swerve proceeds to pick up Jungle Boy after that. And then out of nowhere, so once Swerve picks up Jungle Boy, Starks comes in out of nowhere and hits a freaking devastating. And when I mean devastating, I literally mean devastating. This guy hit a fucking crazy ass spear. And I've always stated this, besides Edge, Ricky Starks has one of the best spears currently right now. Ricky Starks, his spear is absolutely amazing. I don't care what anybody says. I can easily recall his spear on Brian Cage last year. I believe it was during the summer where he won the FTW championship. Holy shit, that was a crazy ass spear, but this spear was absolutely freaking brutal. So he spears Swerve after that. And then after that, we get a super kick by Jungle Boy. Starks then goes for the Michinoku driver, but then we get a cover and a near fall. Starks then takes Swerve, but then Swerve picks him up, but then Starks proceeds to escape. Starks goes for an uppercut, but then he goes for the thumb to the eye. Starks then goes for the Rochambeau, but Jungle Boy comes in and applies the snare trap out of nowhere. Starks gets on the rope. Then Jungle Boy pulls in, but then Swerve goes for a running kick. But then Swerve goes to the top, and then he hits the Swerve Stomp on Ricky Starks. But then we get a cover, and Swerve Strickland wins the match. Then what happens is Powerhouse Hobbs comes in, and he proceeds to clothesline the shit out of Swerve Strickland. But then Jungle Boy enters the fray, and then Keith Lee comes in. A whole brawl breaks loose, and then, after that, Lee goes for a freaking tornado onto the outside, which looked absolutely insane. And, man, of course, it's setting up for their triple threat tag team match. Of course, we got Jurassic Express taking on Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks, taking on Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee, which is going to be a freaking crazy-ass match. Now, do I think that, Jurassic Express are going to drop the championships? Honestly, I do not know, but I definitely do see somebody like a Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland possibly getting those titles. I feel like right now is the time for Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus to drop those titles, because I feel like it's been a while that they had those tag team championships. That is just me, in my view, but we're going to have to wait and see. We got the Men of the Year backstage. Of course, if you guys haven't been watching if you guys watched my Rampage and SmackDown review, you guys know my thoughts on the whole Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky, storyline in my eyes. I thought it made absolutely no fucking sense. If you guys watched Kazarian versus, Scorpio Sky, the whole outcome of that made no sense. And the fact that Scorpio Sky turned heel, but, you don't turn Sammy heel makes absolutely no sense either. mainly because of the fact that he literally was the one that destroyed the TNT Championship with Kazarian. And on AEW TV, they're treated like baby faces, but I mean, especially Sammy and Ty. Sammy and Ty should be full-blown heels. I do not know why Kazarian is even paired with them, considering the fact that once they were destroying the TNT Championship, they were getting booed out of the frickin' building, which made absolutely no sense. I mean, the crowd, you know why the crowd is booing Sammy Guevara. It's because of the fact that the crowd is starting to hate Sammy Guevara like crazy. So Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti need to go full-blown heel. I don't care what anybody says. Having Scorpio Sky, still remaining with the Men of the Year, in my eyes, in a way, I get it, but at the same time, to me, it makes no sense. But Scorpio Sky, or I should say Dan Lambert, says that the TNT Championship a new TNT Championship will be presented on Rampage. I just feel like it's going to be a modified version of the TNT Championship. It's not going to be like an absolutely new version of it. So everybody, do not get your hopes up. We got Tony Schiavone interviewing Thunder Rosa. And Rosa. So overall thoughts on this segment. This was a fantastic promo by Thunder Rosa. And Serena Deeb versus Thunder Rosa is one of those matches that I'm definitely really, really, really excited for. But one of my main problems with this whole feud is the fact that this feud, the build was just not really that good. You had Serena Deeb cut an absolutely fantastic promo near the end of Dynamite. But really, aside from that, really what has been, the build for this match? I'm going to tell you that answer right here, right now. It's been absolutely nothing. But I do think that this match is absolutely going to deliver at Double or Nothing. Not only that, I feel like this match will definitely cement, Thunder Rosa and really better off. It will make her title reign much, much better, because I feel like her title reign is off to a not so good start, mainly because of the fact that, her first opponent was Nyla Rose. And the match was fine at Battle of the Belts, but we saw this with Britt Baker and we saw this with Shida. Their first challengers were Nyla Rose, so what is the point of having Nyla Rose being the first challenger for Thunder Rosa? It's a common occurrence that happens with the AEW Women's Championship. I do not know why, but, for me, I feel like Thunder Rosa's title reign is really off to not really that good of a start. But hopefully this match definitely proves a lot of people wrong, and, definitely Thunder Rosa is going to be bringing out a really good match with Serena Deeb this Sunday at Double or Nothing. But going back to the promo, Rosa asks Schiavone to see her face, talks about how this is the real her, and says that this is the face that this is the face of somebody that has earned everything that she has, that has never complained, because that is what a champion does. She tells Serena that she is not a champion. She talks about how she's complained and how she is a little petty, and she talks about how she points fingers at people and blames her past. She should look in the mirror and blame herself. And this face used to look up to her anymore, but not anymore. The war paint comes on Sunday, and she talks about how the La Mera Mera is going to be at Double or Nothing. So that was basically the gist of what she stated in her really good promo. Overall, it was a great promo segment by Thunder Rosa. Hopefully this match between her and Serena Deeb is going to absolutely deliver, because I feel like it needs to, considering the fact that, again, Thunder Rosa's title reign has not been off to a really good start. So hopefully this match is really good at Double or Nothing. I definitely do see this match being one of the best matches of the entire night. I feel like they're definitely going to tear the house down 110%. Red Velvet is backstage, and she talks about how she is upset that she lost her tournament match against Kris Statlander, and talks about how she should be facing Ruby Soho, but then Ruby Soho comes in and talks about how she will be facing a different Kris Statlander. Of course, Kris Statlander and Ruby Soho will be wrestling in the semifinals at Double or Nothing. Well, not at Double or Nothing. This Friday on Rampage, and the winner will face the winner of Toni Storm versus Britt Baker, which we all know it's going to be Britt Baker. Who do I think is going to be winning that particular match? Honestly, I definitely, do see Kris Statlander winning it, but again, they're definitely changing Kris Statlander a little bit, but again, I honestly do not know. I definitely do see them, having Ruby Soho to win this match. That is just me, but we're gonna have to wait and see what happens there. We got Toni Storm versus Britt Baker in the semifinal match for the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Overall, this was not that bad of a match. I felt like, Britt Baker winning was kind of weird. I definitely expected Toni Storm to win this match, mainly because of the fact that she just came in. And realistically, Toni Storm really does not need this tournament to win. Like, she could have easily lost and still be fine, because, again, she is freaking Britt Baker. So, having Britt Baker win was a little weird for me, because I really wanted Toni Storm to win. But it was not a situation in which Toni Storm lost clean. Because, if she had lost clean, it immediately wouldn't make her, to me, I don't want to say bury, it would have buried Toni Storm, but like I feel like having Toni Storm lose clean would make absolutely no sense. But the fact that she didn't lose clean, it makes total sense. But again, I would have had Toni Storm be in the finals of this tournament, considering the fact that really Britt Baker does not really need this tournament. But the match starts. Both lock up. We get a wrist lock by Storm. We get a takedown by Britt Baker, but then Storm applies a wrist lock once again. We get a side headlock takeover by Storm, but then both proceed to lock up. We get a side headlock takeover once again by Britt. We get the head scissors by Storm. Then Britt gets her foot onto the bottom rope. We get a kick by Britt, and then we get a shotgun drop kick by Storm. Both are on the outside. We get a right hand by Storm. Storm then goes for a couple of uppercuts after that. Both fight it out onto the outside. Britt then drops Toni Storm face first onto the steel steps. Once we're back from break, both exchange shots. We get a thrust kick by Britt Baker. Britt then goes to the top. She tries to go for the Pittsburgh Sunrise, a.k.a. the Panama Sunrise. But Storm hits the swinging DDT, but then Storm hits the hip attack. She wants to go for the Storm Zero, but Britt counters into the air raid crash. Then Jamie Hayter comes in, and then we get a roll-up by Storm, but we get a near fall. We get a kick by Britt Baker. We get a twisting neck breaker by Baker as well. We get a cover by Britt and another near fall. Storm then goes for a release German suplex. Then she goes for the swinging, aka the tornado DDT onto the outside. At this point, Storm is bleeding from the nose, and then Storm hits a right on Hayter, and then she wants to go for the Storm Zero, but Britt counters into the air raid crash. And then, Britt gets help from, I believe it was Jamie Hayter and Red Velvet as well, and Britt Baker gets the win. So Britt Baker wins. Overall thoughts on this match. It was a pretty good match for what it was. Again, Britt Baker won via the help of Jamie Hayter and Red Velvet. Not Red Velvet. Rebel or Reba, whatever the hell you want to call her. But yeah, man, I would have had Toni Storm win this match because, again, Britt Baker really does not need this tournament. She's already established. But we're going to have to wait and see. Now we're going to have to find out who is going to be winning either Ruby Soho or Kris Statlander tomorrow night on Rampage. I definitely do see AEW booking Ruby Soho to win this match, which I definitely see that being the case. I would love to see Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho once again. But we're going to have to wait and see. We got our main event, which I stated last week this match was going to be a banger. And when I said it was going to be a banger, I absolutely meant it because this match was an absolute friggin' banger, especially near the end. We got Samoa Joe versus Kyle O'Reilly in the semifinals of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Overall, this was a fantastic ass match. I absolutely loved this match for what it was. I loved the chemistry that both Samoa Joe and Kyle O'Reilly had. A lot of people wanted Kyle O'Reilly to win so we could get Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole once again at Double or Nothing, but in my eyes, I don't think they should really play back on that feud. Maybe at least now, I think, really going back to that feud kind of makes no sense. And not only that, we haven't really seen Samoa Joe versus Adam Cole in a major stage. I don't think they wrestled. I think this would be the first time that they will wrestle, but I feel like Samoa Joe is definitely the right outcome for this tournament. And, this is my thing when it comes to this tournament. So the thing about this tournament is, yes, we all know they're going to be. I believe the rumor is they're going to be winning a trophy belt, but aside from that, I feel like they need to win a world championship title shot. I feel like if two guys, if guys like Adam Cole and Samoa Joe are going to be in the finals of this particular match or this particular tournament, there needs to be like a major prize, like possibly a title shot, because you can't have Samoa Joe taking on Adam Cole in the finals of a tournament and really all you get is a trophy belt. Nothing wrong with the trophy belt, but you need to give them like somewhat of a title shot because, again, you can't have guys like Adam Cole and Samoa Joe just win absolutely nothing and just win a trophy. You can't do that. You can't be like WWE with the King of the Ring. You just can't do that, and especially you got guys like Adam Cole and Samoa Joe. But overall thoughts on Samoa Joe and Kyle O'Reilly. Absolutely fantastic match to close Dynamite. We get a couple of kicks but we got a lot of kicks and strikes by both because both are really synonymous when it comes to their strikes and kicks. We got a couple of body shots by both men. We get a single leg takedown. We get single leg takedown attempts by both. Kyle misses a kick. Joe goes for a chop, and then he goes for right hands, and then he goes for a slam. We get a chop to the back of Kyle O'Reilly. Then we get a kick by Joe. Then he hits an elbow drop. We get a cover and a near fall. Joe then goes for a couple of right hands. Then Joe goes for a couple of chops once again. We get an elbow by Joe. Joe then after that hits a snap suplex. We get a cover and a near fall. Kyle O'Reilly goes for the rising knee. He proceeds to take down Joe using Joe's arm, which looked absolutely brutal, by the way. Kyle works on Joe. We get a running kick to the ribs of Joe, and then we get a couple of kicks by Joe. Then he proceeds to hit the knees on Kyle O'Reilly. Joe then fires back with an elbow. Kyle then takes the knee of Joe and then twists the knee of on Joe. Then after that, Kyle goes to the top and drops the knee onto the arm of Joe, which looked absolutely painful. We get a cover and a near fall. Then Kyle O'Reilly applies the cross arm breaker, but then Joe goes to the ropes. Once we're back from break, Kyle is in control with a couple of kicks. Joe then grabs the knee of Kyle O'Reilly, but then Kyle fights him off. Then after that, Joe goes for the leg sweep, I believe, on Kyle O'Reilly. We get repeated rights by Joe. Joe, after that, goes for the atomic drop on Kyle O'Reilly. Then he hits a boot, then a senton. We get a cover and another near fall again. We get repeated repeated kicks by Joe. Kyle O'Reilly proceeds to fight back, but then Joe fires back with a lariat. We get a cover by Joe again and a kick out. Both then exchange shots, and Joe goes for his signature slaps everywhere all over the body of Kyle O'Reilly. Then he takes Kyle up, but then Kyle grabs the arm of Joe for the armbar attempt after that. Joe then goes to the bottom rope, but then we get a couple of kicks and a boot by Kyle O'Reilly after that. Joe goes for the knee, but then Kyle fights back with a clothesline. Joe then hits an enziguri after that. After that, Kyle O'Reilly fights back. We get a bunch of AEW chants by the crowd. We get a roll-up by Kyle O'Reilly, but then Joe counters into the sleeper hold, which would lead to Kyle O'Reilly going to sleep, which leads to Joe winning the match and advancing to the finals of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. And he will now face Adam Cole at Double or Nothing. Again, this match was absolutely freaking awesome, and I told you guys this was going to be a banger, and it absolutely was. And also, again, Joe going to the finals was definitely the right decision to make, in my opinion. As much as I would have loved to see Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole, I think it wouldn't make sense when it comes to the storyline aspect of it, considering the fact that they reconciled in storyline. So I feel like it would make no sense to book a match between the two. But having Joe go over in this match was definitely the right decision to make, and I definitely do see Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe being an absolute banger of a match at Double or Nothing. It's going to be a great match, and who do I think is going to be winning the Owen Hart Cup tournament? I mean, again, whoever wins this match not only should get the trophy belt, but also should get a title shot. And the way I would book it is the winner gets a title shot at All Out. And whoever wins at All Out, I definitely do see Joe. And if CM Punk is the champion, because we do not know where All Out is going to be. I pray to God that it's not going to be in Chicago, mainly because of the fact that Chicago gets everything, and Chicago already has Forbidden Door. I think All Out is going to be in a separate venue. But again, could you imagine if we got the title shot, like Joe won and he got a title shot, and then we got CM Punk versus Samoa Joe once again? I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. We're just going to have to wait and see, but I'm definitely excited where this is going. And the fact that we got Adam Cole and Samoa Joe, I feel like the stakes are really high when it comes to a caliber of a match like this. But yeah, that was my Dynamite review from May 25th, 2022. Of course, this was the go-home show for Double or Nothing. Tomorrow we got a live Rampage happening and also SmackDown. Most likely tomorrow I will be uploading my AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view prediction. So if I upload it, be on the lookout for that video as well. Same thing as my SmackDown and Rampage review. But overall thoughts on Dynamite, I thought Dynamite was a pretty good show, and I'm definitely really excited to see what happens at Double or Nothing. But yeah, that was my AEW Dynamite review from May 25th, 2022. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Broken Havoc podcast. And as always, it is Broken Havoc signing out.